just paired run 4, and the players are opening up their matches, and we're just waiting for our feature match to get ready. We will be looking at something not green this round, specifically chosen for its greenlessness.
I
Um,
think we'll still have plenty of options to see the green deck later on in the event. So let's look around and find some diverse, fun builds that people have come up with.
yeah, I imagine it won't be an issue. So we'll look at July Circle again with the fettuccine. Sorry, it is still green, but it's another flavor of green. It's a more rampy green. I hope that's okay. But it's against the mono red deck of the event, so I figured that could be quite exciting to see.
This is the Scape Shift deck, is that right?
Yeah, I think Scapeshift is an acceptable form of green we can live with after all the green beats.
I mean, I
Uh,
think it's undeniable that the green decks are very strong, and green is just a powerful color in this format. When you have things like Corster, Curfix, Vengevine, and in this case,
the,
Scape Shift. Uh,
Scape. Can't wait to see how these two will interact with each other, if at all. Uh, Definitely some some different stuff going on here. Let's see if our players found each other. Yeah, they have.
Great.
BS Vites versus July Cirque, and they're just uh, right on time, just starting out. We have resolved mulligans, no mulligans for either player. So Bedwise, we've seen July Cirque's deck before and gone over it a bit, so I'll just go quickly over Ben White's deck here. We're looking at 21 mountains, and that's it for lands. Then we're looking at Gito Lava Runner, one of those almost good enough for constructed, almost Goblin Guide. We're looking at Viashino Pyromancer. That actually did see play, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, the
It's a
wizard
Goblin
package.
Pygar. Yeah, Goblin Pygar that when it enters the battlefield deals 2 damage to target player or Planeswalker. And then Goblin Chain Whirler to get rid of all these land royals. 3 Kill Fiend, 2 Kargan Dragon Lord. And then we're looking at 3 Flame of Killed, 4 Crash Through, 4 Forked Bolt, one of which
Forked
has
Bolt
already
going
been
right to the
played.
face already.
Yeah. Plague Mirror on turn 2, runs straight into Chain Whirler on turn 3. Wizard's Lightning, Lava Dart from Judgment, just poking the opponent, but being able to be flashback is really powerful, especially when you're working with Kill Fiend as well. And then 3 Stagger Shocks round out the deck, and then the sideboard is the mono red beauty sideboard that's just 4-4-4-3. We're looking at 4 Sage of Fire Dancer, 4 Stirring Blood, 4 Act of Treason, and 3 Fight with Fire. And I imagine Fight with Fire is target. It could equally as well be named I Hate Lyra.
Lyra definitely a problem for any red deck that wants to fork bolt the opponent on turn one, I would say.
Yes, if you're just throwing cards to your opponent's face, then Lyra really ruins your day. But July Surg, with this Fettuccine Monogrini, does not have access to Lyra or any other interesting life gain. So
Hoping to just
that,
cast an Eldrazi and kill Ben before Ben kills them.
yeah, so this might actually we might have an option to see something else here soon
Well,
because
we'll see what happens. I mean, the the we've seen this green deck do
yeah, it can
some
really
interesting,
run
powerful
amok.
things. So all you need is one value scape shift to get all your Eldrazi's in play. And um, there's a
Is
if you
this
check
it?
our Twitter, there's a great screenshot of an Inkmoth Nexus being enchanted with Eldrazi conscriptions. So uh,
Oh, the
there's
things I want in life.
hope for shenanigans always.
Yeah,
Constructs doing a good job of putting up a wall here.
yeah. It's definitely just survival tactics here. Stagger Shock really ruining July 6th day here.
Yeah, powerful card to go
Not,
alongside that Kiln Fiend. You will not
yeah.
be blocking, at least not in a profitable way.
This cannot feel great.
And to add insult to injury, we're going
Oh
to take
yeah,
out
just
that
no
Plague Mirror as
options.
well, and don't even lose a lot of
That's
damage off
lethal.
that Wizard's Lightning because Kiln Fiend just takes that
just
damage and
noms it
turns it into
before.
power.
Yeah, and that's 12. Turn 5 kill here.
Powerful showing from this red deck. It is a tricky format to get red right because there are so many different ways to build it. There's a lot of different shock variants. You know, you have the option of playing Chain Whirlers or not, playing the Wizard package or not. Lava Dart has shown itself to be a pretty powerful card in the format. Uh, but there are so many options that it is difficult to find the right one, and I'm certainly not a mono red player, so I gave up the red deck fairly early in my testing, but it seems that Ben Whites has found a winning combination here as Kiln Fiend deals 7 damage in that turn to end the game.
Yeah, sometimes it's just better to be the person asking the questions than trying to answer them.
Especially
And
true
that's
in any format where you only have 2 weeks to build, right?
exactly. And sometimes you just throw it to the wall and say, well, I believe mono red to be strong enough, so I'll just play it, and then it's up to you guys to figure out how to beat me. I don't have
Notably,
to care about you.
you know, the red deck has a number of cantrips available to help that Kiln Fiend do
Yeah,
its dirty work and gain
yeah.
combat abilities like now has Ben playing the trample or the first strike
Yeah,
grantor?
crash through. 1 mana sorcery. Creatures you control gain tremble on the end of turn. Draw a card. And I assure you, Ben could not care less about the first part of that card. Creature you control gain tremble. Sure, it's nice with Kiln Fiend. It actually helps it break through damage. But it's that sorcery plus draw a card for 1 red
Right.
uh, that he's very interested in. That helps the Kill Fiend.
It doesn't hurt to give that Kiln Fiend trample, but you would be happy just play a bad red opt.
Yes, you would be happy to just play 1 red draw card, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
In,
As
in
long as
this
it's
low
an
power
instant or a
format.
sorcery.
Yeah. And I imagine July Psych will have brought in their Course of Crufix
I have to
and
imagine, yes.
their Throne as well, just to have something to put in the way of all these creatures.
Sphere of the Sun's a nice way to get to some of those roadblocks as well. Being on the play certainly helps.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
the burn spells out of the red deck are not dealing massive amounts of damage, so it is hard for them to get to 20 just playing burn spells by themselves. They do need to connect with creatures a couple of times in order to seal the deal, or have the game go long enough because the opponent's trying to cast Eldrazi spells.
Definitely. Um,
Let's see if we can get any kind of blockers out of July Zerg here.
Between Throne, Karn, and Courser, well, it's not Courser now after they play the land, I imagine. But I have a hard time not imagining that something like there must be something here, right?
Well, you know,
Even if it's just like an Elvish Rejuvenator.
we don't know the full contents of July Zerg's deck just yet, so we'll see. I mean, I imagine you're right, but there
Winemare came in as well. That's also out of the sideboard, a Singleton Winemare. It has hexproof.
it does have hexproof. It does block
And then,
Viashino Pyromancer.
yeah, sure. Block. Make him have it. Like, I'm not even sure what
What can he have?
Ben can
Is there
have.
anything that gives that Pyromancer additional power?
No, I think Ben might not have seen the hexproof part here.
July Zerg trying to figure out what he's up to because
Yeah,
certainly a suspicious attack and makes you look at that deck list one more time, right?
yeah, exactly. I did exactly the same. I'm like, wait, what can Ben have here? Oh yeah, World Them Chains. It's of course Chain Whirler. Sure, it is of course
And
Chain
there it
Whirler.
is.
Yeah, I mean I like that from July Strike because what is Windmare going to do against Chain Whirler anyways? It's
Yep.
going to be sort of not there either way. And what you just want to do is trade your cards for creatures, and then because Ben's deck is already down on cards because their goal is to fling some of their cards at your face.
Seeing some stalling tactics here with an Elvish Rejuvenator to ramp a little bit, block a little bit. put
Yep.
a land into play game 3 life.
Yep. We take those.
Certainly, if you're trying to cast Scape Shifts, you don't mind getting more lands into play.
No.
But Chain Whirler, once again, punishing elves.
You love to see it. Or hate to
As
see it.
as somebody who's lost a fair number of Land of War elves to Chain Whirler, I really feel July Zerg's pain here.
Yeah.
It is just 3 damage, and you know, there's still time with 4 cards in Ben's hand.
Yeah, there's still options, but
Two
July
Chain
would
Whirlers
definitely love.
is formidable, though.
July would love to see something else happen here.
Yeah, you really would have hoped to have seen a Thrun already by now.
A Thron, a Courser, just give me something, man. Ancient Stirrings cannot be what the Doctor ordered. Revealing Sphere of the Suns. I mean,
Oof.
if
Yeah.
what you're ramming into is powerful enough, like it could be exactly what they want right now because we don't know the rest of the hand. But I imagine they would love for something else to happen right now.
Well, I would
Scape
love
Shift,
to not go down to 7, right, against the red deck, but
yeah,
7 is more than 6 when we count in multiples of 3. Stagger Shock though does break that a little bit.
yeah. Okay, there. Do you think there's an Eldrazi coming soon?
If there's not, then that would have been a very questionable play.
I imagine we're going to see all this dust. Get out your Hoover.
That's
Everything's
exciting.
about to be dusty.
Let's see if they have it and if it is timely enough to prevent death by fire.
Yeah, there's 4 cards in that hand over there, and even at 1 to 2 damage apiece, then 4 cards is a lot.
Mm-hmm. Even the creatures are direct damage at this point with multiple sorceries in the graveyard. Those
Yes.
wizards will gain haste. So we do see all his dust clear out these goblin chain whirlers, but we'll have to see if that is enough to give July Zerg time to deploy something powerful on his side. No stagger shock, no end of turn burns coming out here, and we do see a 6 mountain, which is quite a few mountains out of the red deck.
Yeah, but Ben has something to use those mountains for because we see the level up mechanic from Rise of the Eldrazi and its full extent here. So next turn, July Zerg will be looking at a Kargan Dragonlord that's an 8/8 Flamble, as it has been affectionately called when a creature has both flying and trample.
Ben is ringing in the Year of the Dragon here with this Kargan Dragon Lord going full dragon mode.
Yeah. So July, what's the deal for 8/8 Flamble Firebreather? I imagine
Vivian.
it's not. I mean, there is one Vivian Reed in the sideboard.
Not necessarily the
Elven.
matchup you want of Vivian, though.
No.
And it seems like the option may be to perish at the hands of a dragon, but let's see. The Inkmoth Nessus can buy a turn here, assuming
Not if
that
it
there's
gains.
not anything in Ben's hand.
Well, I would like to reiterate this
Trample,
gets
yep.
not only flying but trample.
Yep. So
I'm trying to see what
I'm not sure
I
what
can't
can
see.
get July Zerg out of this.
8/8 Flamble. Let's go. And it is just accepting defeat.
Combat damage, and looks like we are going to take a look at the sideboards and see what
No,
adjustments we might see.
that
Oh
was
no,
the
it's the
match.
match. That's the match. Okay.
So that's
When
put,
you play red against red, sometimes it's over before you realize it.
yeah. So that puts Ben at 3-1, very well positioned to make top 8. July Strike is not out. 2 and 2 can still, with a bit of luck, sneak in uh, with a fortunate round 5 pairing. Um, let's see what we can look at. Do we want to look at...
We have another red deck playing up against Brian Paris and the Bant Walls.
Yes, let's do that. That sounds exciting.
So many creatures with 4 toughness in this environment, as we mentioned, and here we see Overgrown Battlement uh, threatening to add 4 mana or more this turn
Yeah,
for Brian Paris.
but Brian has not hit his land drops, and he's really hoping to do that in the near future, I imagine.
Now, Brian, is he playing Palaka Worm in his deck?
Let me double check. I imagine he was. Yeah, there was a singular one there.
And Green Sun
Luke,
Zenith to go find it if I remember correctly.
yes, Green Sun's need to find it.
Very powerful against mountains.
Yes. Everything here looks very powerful against Mountain.
There
Luke
seems to be a
actually,
Consecrated Sphinx on top of the deck. If that can come into play from an untapped blue source, that's also pretty good.
yeah, that has to be right below the Consecrated Sphinx in the library. But yeah,
Consecrated
that's
Sphinx, a very powerful card, especially in a format where so much of the removal is sorcery speed.
yeah. So Luke won the Mono Red Mirror. They actually played. No, sorry. Luke lost the Mono Red Mirror. Sorry, my mistake. They have a bit less creatures. There's only the 4 Keter Lava Robber, 4 Kiln Fiend, and the 4 Vishino Pyromancer. 4 Flame of Keld, 4 Forkbolt, 4 Lava Dart, 4 Lightning Strike, 4 Shock, 4 Stagger Shock, 4 Wizard's Lightning, 20 Mountains. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. 10 times 4, plus 20 Mountains.
Now, if that Consecrated Sphinx does come down, it's going to draw quite a few cards for Brian. And it does. Oh, unfortunately, the Evolving Wilds reveals the mountain, or the island, but that's not going to give us the untapped blue we need this turn.
No, unfortunately not.
Because Flame of Keld coming off with Consecrated Sphinx in play is quite profitable for the Sphinx player.
Yes.
Of course, then you do have to survive Chapter 3.
Yes, there's also that. If a source, yeah, that makes everything very, very scary. Out of the sideboard, Luke is looking at also a beautiful sideboard configuration. 5x3. 3 Active Treason, 3 Searing Blood, 3 Goblin Chain Whirler, 3 Frame Slash, 3 Run Amok. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. 10 out of 10, no notes.
I personally like my sideboards to be very messy with a lot of 1-ofs, but I can respect it out of a red deck. Red players do like to be straightforward and direct.
The philosophy is that you don't plan on seeing much of your deck throughout a game.
Yep.
So if you want your sideboard cards to be impacted, or you want to have your sideboard cards actually making impact, then you need a lot of them. Okay. I would not be surprised to see Luke here just maybe play a land and then just pass the turn to really get the full extent of the Flame of Keld Chapter 3 trigger.
Certainly not under any pressure from what Brian is doing.
No. I mean, there's the Consecrated Sphinx coming down, and Brian has more or less unlocked his mana base.
But the real concern is, does Brian Paris get his life total too high with something like a Palaka Worm to where that Flame of Keld can't take care of business?
Exactly. Palaka Worm would really ruin Luke's day here. Tachiva would also be a minor inconvenience, Gifts of Pride, like any kind of life game, because this is teetering on being acceptable for Luke. Yeah,
maybe
just
playing it, taking care of that Courser with this attack, hoping to get a profitable trade, but Brian Paris says, not today, I'm keeping my Courser in play and I'm going to gain a little bit of life at a time.
Yeah, just ever so slightly.
You may burn my Wall of Omens if you would like to, sir.
Yeah, but then I imagine Luke is just like, well, that's okay. I'm just gonna try again next turn, and then I'm gonna have all the burn you can imagine.
My
There's a
Pyromancer
lava dart.
will kill whatever it blocks it next turn.
Yes, there's a lava dart in the graveyard. There's hopefully for Luke 3 burn spells in the hand, so like this could get really messy.
Lava Dart, a improved Lightning Bolt once you hit that Chapter 3 of Flame.
Yes, it's gonna be super scary for Brian. I mean, I would look at this board and be like, I have a Course of Crucifix, I'm at 11 life, I have so much mana. How can this go wrong? And then it goes wrong.
It all comes down to what draws Luke hit off of that Flame of Keld.
Yeah.
Phase 2.
I noticed that Luke did not play a mountain last turn. So it might have been all spells. I imagine we're looking at Exclusion Mage.
Interesting.
Is it?
Is it going to target his? Now that returns only opponent's creatures.
Yeah.
And it's not optional, so we're giving 4 damage to Luke here.
Yeah, but I think the idea here is that it kind of ties up Luke's mana because he cannot deploy these 4 cards next turn.
But all Luke really needs is a Lava Dart in hand here, right? Like
that would really be a bad day.
And here comes Consecrated Sphinx.
Yes.
I think this is the turn. If Brian needs to live through this turn, and then things get a lot better for them.
Yes. This is definitely a very, very, very crucial turn. But don't count Luke out just yet, because even if Luke doesn't get to kill Brian this turn, they can still do a significant amount of damage to them. And it's not like Luke is under pressure, but there's still a few turns left of this game, even if Luke doesn't win right now.
Yeah, he's got to either take Brian out this turn or get him low enough that he can trickle those last couple points out.
Yeah.
Stagger Shock notably does not get the benefit from Flame of Keld here.
I was just about to say the timing of this works out unfortunate, but I can see why Luke did it. So I imagine this is a win.
It does point to him having additional ways to spend his mana in hand. So
yeah,
Pyromancer deals 4. And we just need any other damage source. Yep.
Yeah. That ties it up at 1-1. As we know, Brian doesn't have a sideboard.
15 Living Wish targets.
Yes. With one of the Living Wish targets being a Temple of Enlightenment, just in case you need to use your Living Wish to the land drop, I can respect that. Which means that Brian must have wished for that Exclusion Mage, because that is out of the sideboard. Might have even wished for...
Or he could have brought in the Exclusion Mage thinking he's not going to have time to wish for it.
That could also be a thing. Yeah, I imagine Brian might have wished for this Temple of Enlightenment, actually. It's not something we can see because it happened before we started watching the game. So.
And Living Wish goes right into the sideboard when you cast it, not in the graveyard. So we would have had to know to look for it.
It's in the exile pile, so it's definitely one Living Wish was cast, whether it was for Temple of Enlightenment or Exclusion Mage. I imagine you're right that he boarded in with the philosophy that I won't have time to wish for it if I need it, and then wished for Temple of Enlightenment.
I've got the match still open in the other window, and it looks like the only card in exile was a Hinterland Harbor, so no Living Wish, it looks like.
Whoa, that's weird because it said Living Wish for me. in the
I will not question Magic Online in all of its wisdom, whatever it decides.
Magic Online is a quality program. We all know that.
Set Roulette is interesting in that it really will find all of the wrinkles of Magic Online. If there's a bug in a card that would have gone unnoticed, we are very likely to find it because we tend to turn over all of the open all of the broom closets and find every skeleton, right?
Yes. Uh, this is the bug testing session for our moto. Actually, we're actually employed by Daybreak to test all the weird stuff.
there's no corner that a desperate set roulette player won't search for that one card that's going to make their deck work.
Exactly.
I have to admit that I cast multiple reassembling skeletons in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that is like when you get the sets just to line up to make that card work, it's just such a great feeling. You just sit there doing your Rube Goldberg machine and and you can only see the little monkey with the percussion instruments, and you just go, "Now my brilliant machine is working." Anyways, let's get back to the game. We saw Lavadar taking out Jiraga Tree Speaker. Brian very heads up playing around it. Instead of he had the option to level up his Tree Speaker for 2 mana to have improved mana growth this turn, but that would play right into Lavadar and just ruin his day. So he decided instead to play Overgrown Battlement, and wisely enough, because we saw Lavadar take out Jiraga Tree Speaker, and he hadn't wasted his mana. So heads up play from Brian there.
Yeah, you can only get burned so many times with Jiraga Tree Speaker before you learn when you don't take that chance.
Yeah, exactly.
As a devoted cube player, I know to be very careful with how I activate my Jiraga Tree Speaker.
I was just about to say that Brian was a bit short on white mana here, but Gifts of Paradise comes along to fix that.
Solves it nicely, gains 3 life in the process. Not bad against a red deck. And there's the Living Wish we were talking about. Let's see what we
Let's
fetch.
see what we're getting here. There's so many options. Oh, wait. Yeah. I think I see. I think I see a great target here. I won't spoil it for you, but I'm hoping Brian gets to this conclusion as well. Okay,
That's a good grab. I don't know if it's what you're
grab.
talking about, but
It was not. I was looking at Shalai, Voice of Plenty. You, planeswalkers you control, and other creatures you control have hexproof.
Oh wow.
3/4.
Yeah, I didn't realize they gave it to you as well. That is powerful against the red decks. And one thing about Set Roulette is you can always count on a red deck showing up in some form. Like Death and Taxes, burn will be there, and you better have something in mind for it.
Yeah. There's always going to be a mono red deck. There's also always going to be some form of a control deck. It might not be blue, but there's always going to be some form of a control deck.
Well, of course, that's because you're often playing in the event, Saunders, and you will sleeve up a divination and a negate if you have to.
I will, and I won't be. I will not be ashamed.
Even when you should be. Green Sun Zenith coming out here.
Yeah.
Are we grabbing another Courser, or?
No, we're Green Sun Zenithing for a Tree Speaker, hoping to reveal a land after the shuffle here. I imagine. No such luck, but not the Tree Speaker, but Land Walls.
Brian had a healthy 18 here with a Courser in play against a couple of 2/2s. You got to feel okay about this.
Yeah, there is, however, Flame Slash. Specifically there to remove courses.
Flame Slash, a pretty powerful removal spell in the all-4 toughness format.
Yeah, that was one of the things you and I noticed when we did some research into this format. Everything just is 4 toughness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Lightning Bolt wouldn't even be like, of course it's a good card, but it wouldn't be this crazy card we sometimes see. Now Arcades comes.
Slagstorm is legal in the format, and it just
doesn't do anything.
It doesn't do what you want it to do, because even the white deck is casting Brim as is, right?
Yeah. Everything just has a big butt.
And that's why you see cards like Arcades come down, to give your big booty creature something to do with all that junk in the trunk.
Yeah. I cannot imagine seeing Arcadis block here. Okay, we
Imagine
see
it.
Arcadis block here.
And maybe happy to trade with a burn spell and a creature
Yeah,
here. I mean, ultimately that was profitable for Brian, given that if this game goes long enough, he's gonna cast a Palaka Worm, and that's all she
yeah,
wrote.
sure.
And he might
Oh,
just
there's
have
just
another
another.
Arcades in hand.
You know what? Brian is ready to go on the attack here.
Let's
Take 9.
see some attacks from defenders.
This is just lethal next turn.
You love to see the wall deck come to life here.
Yeah.
Kiln Fiend looking a little
On
anemic on
Jumping
this
Duty.
board.
Yeah, this is Jumping Duty, and Luke is just there. I've only had one more land, so I could like deploy something here.
Yeah, stuck on 2 mana is rough for a red deck that relies on Wizard's Lightnings and Stagger Shocks to do some of its work.
I think we'll see Lava Dart flashback killing the Land Wilds and then Killfiend blocking an Overgrown Battlement just to feel something. Yep.
What is the feeling when you sacrifice your second land to Lava Dart, Llanowar Elf?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Oh, that is so rude. That is so rude.
Ladies and gentlemen, Set Roulette.
Sorry, I missed it when I went over Brian's sideboard. There is one card that's not a Living Wish target, and that is a one of Unified Will.
Unified Will was a card that we played with a little bit in our testing and really hurt some of these top end strategies that were trying to cast Cunning Wish into Nexus of Fate. Notably, haven't seen a lot of that strategy here. I don't know whether those players just weren't able to make the event due to conflicts, or if we just haven't managed to find them. But what was kind of the boogeyman for us in the early days of testing has not really shown up in the event itself.
No, that's quite fun, actually. Yeah, it's a very astute observation. But yeah, one of Unified Will. I think I named it. It's actually the best available counterspell in this format.
Syncopate might disagree with you, but Unified Will has definitely proven itself through some of our testing to be a pretty powerful one.
Yeah. So Brian Paris there moving to 3-1, also looking hot for a top 8. But we actually have our mono green deck left. They're still playing.
Yep.
And you know what? I've actually been hoping we could look at this a bit, because do you know what they're playing against?
What's that? Let's see.
Blue-white.
Oh,
I'm not quite down to
favorite.
call it a control deck, because it is featuring both Bremas and Lyra in the main deck.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like blue-white control. It has a Mirrodin Crusader and a Brimaz in play. We saw some of this play out in the previous match with green against the Planeswalker deck. Brimaz looking very sad against a Thrun once again.
Yeah.
Prismatic Strand sitting in the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, this might be the build to... Because do you know who J-Con beat last round?
Who is that? The other green player?
Louis Bacard, the other green player.
Mm. Now, this
So
Seal Away is a pretty good card against the Vengevine strategy, so...
That is true. And he's definitely looking like battle-hardened, battle-tested. He knows what his deck want to do to beat everything.
That being said, we are facing down a number of Vengevines here, and Wall of Omens going into potentially chump duty unless we're flashing back the Strands, but...
I think we're flashing back the Strand next turn.
Yeah.
To be honest. But Mirrodin Crusader really showing the effect here.
Yeah. A very powerful card that can do a lot of work against these green decks, but it does look like he's on the back foot here.
Post combat, Green Sun for Vengevine.
Sure, sweep me if you dare.
I imagine it will be what Jacon is hoping for here is to attack with Mirror Crusader, flashback Prismatic Stance, attack with Mirror Crusader, and then sweep.
Yeah.
And
And then
then
somehow
hope
deal
that
with Vengevines when they come back, because there's no way Remy is sitting there with and going to grab another Vengevine if he's not ready to bring him
yeah,
back. And 6
I'll
cards in
be
hand
honest.
and a Vivian in play also indicates that these Vengevines are not going to stay dead for long.
Have you looked in Remy's graveyard? Just below the Karn, I'll ask you to please read that card.
Seed time. The the old green time walk. All you need
Yep.
is for your opponent to cast a blue spell during your turn.
Yes. And with 4 Syncopate, 2 Blink of an Eye, 2 Essence Scatter, in Jacon's deck, then I imagine that has happened at some point.
Remy's deck, definitely the kind of deck that can take advantage of that extra turn as well. And
Yeah.
there you have it.
And
Green continues its crusade here.
puts Remy at 4-0. Jacon is still looking hard at 3-1, splitting the green decks, going toe-to-toe with them at 1-1. So maybe the green is not the end-all be-all here. That was our last match in our penultimate round.